Welcome aboard. Welcome to 2020. Welcome to Teal Talk. I'm Jenny Guy. I am the director of marketing for Mediavine. And believe it or not, it's 2020. It's the 16th. I don't really know how that occurred, but it is. And if you are like us, you are not having a smooth ride into 2020. Your 2020 is a flaming car, potentially filled with clowns. But we've got a lot going on, and I've got the man, the myth, the legend with me today. It is our CEO, Eric Hochberger, as always with his teal wall. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Jenny, and hello, everyone.
Hello, all people out there. So we have a lot to cover today. We have our mission for today is to talk about the Mediavine 2020 roadmap. And we've had questions already coming because Eric had a blog post go out on Monday that outlined it for you. But it was a tome. It was long. It was a Reader's Digest. It was wordy, but there's a lot going on, so we had to cover it all. But Eric and I decided we wanted to give you a TLDR version, and that is here now speaking the words to you so you don't have to read them if you don't want to. So if you have questions for us about where we're going, we're going to cover all the bases, but we love your questions. Questions about plugins, questions about ad tech, questions about any of those things. Please weigh in, and we are here to answer them. But I'm going to start out with kind of a general question, which is as I said, we're already our clown car is already careening down the road for 2020, and we're very deep into all the things we've already got. A lot of them are carryovers from last year. So where do our goals come from? How do we set that roadmap? And just give us a little insight into Eric Hochberger's brain.
So some of it definitely comes from my brain. Some of it is definitely just reactions to an ever-changing industry we're in. The ad tech industry changes by the week, sometimes down to the wire with certain regulations even. So a lot of it is obviously outside forces. A lot of it comes from my crazy brain, comes from our director of product, Jordan's crazy brain, and really from the entire team. I can't stress this enough. Like, everyone at Mediavine comes up with these ideas. It's not just my crazy brain leading to where things go. And of course, our publishers, they really do drive where all of these products are going. So it's trying to grab all of that and put it into our clown car and figure out how we get it across the line. So the roadmap is fun.
It goes like this.
Exactly.
So I think, I was going to say that one of the favorite things I love about Mediavine, and have loved since before I came here, is that you is particularly, but everyone on the team builds things for the way they should be, whether they exist that way possibly or not, like whether that's a possible thing. We have a lot of statements like, well, it should be this thing, and it's not yet. So we're going to make it be that thing it should be.
We're going to fix it. Yep.
So, okay, let's go ahead and start out with something we say often, which is ads are only the beginning, but they are a very good place to start because they are our bread and butter. We are a full service ad management provider for over, how many is it now, Eric?
I don't know. When are we? Over 4 years. Are we thinking 5 soon?
Yes. Yes. It'll be 5 this June. And right. We are over 6,000 publishers. We hit that in early 2020. So like about 10 days ago, we were over 6,000, which is crazy. So we're focusing a lot of our manpower and attention on optimization and making people earn more money. So I want to know how we're going to make it rain in 2020. And a lot of this all boils down to the script wrapper, which I hear a lot, and a lot of people hear a lot. What is the script wrapper? Why do we talk about it so much? Let's start there.
I swear every year I say this, we're going to come up with a new name for the script wrapper, and it will be sexy, and it'll be so much more fun to say than script wrapper.
It's never what I want it to be. When you say script wrapper, I have so many things that I want it to be in my mind, and it's never that.
New names or what the script wrapper is?
No, I want the script wrapper to be an actual rapper who potentially, I want a lot of things. Or
we want to drop the W from rapper. Oh,
yes.
Okay. Gotcha. No, it's none of that fun stuff. The script wrapper is kind of your point of entry into the Mediavine technology, where we can kind of run the auction, optimize the placements of your ads, do everything with our video player, be able to basically do everything that we do for your ads through one endpoint. That's kind of why it's called the script wrapper. That's where it got its name originally from. It's wrapping around so many different things. It is not wrapping presents. Certainly not. I'm not wrapping something witty. You
thought
got it.
you were close and you were going to do it, and that was
I
going to
was
be
going to
awesome.
do it. It was so close.
It's like,
I did not
wrap,
rap.
do it, please.
Yeah. So close. Next year. That is my resolution. I will figure it out for next year. How to rap.
We heard that. And maybe, what about for Baltimore? Could you rap in Baltimore?
Yeah, I can make all sorts of false promises on rapping in Baltimore right now. I will do it.
Okay, we all heard it.
Yep, exactly.
Oh my God, guys, if you want something from him, I'm telling you now, start posting in the comments because he's promising everything. Okay, we have a question already from Amy Pelsner. She says, hi guys, happy 2020. Question about schema. And we're going to talk a little bit about schema a little later, but let's talk about this. Can we click the markup schema in both videos and create cards in the same post?
We actually have a pretty good blog post on this, on where you should place the schema or where you should place your videos. And it kind of touches on this a little bit. It's not a problem to output the schema into both spots, into the video player and into the card, but you don't need to. We have found that if you insert it into just the card, the schema markup, then Google's going to figure out it's still a video page. Google's pretty clever. And that's where they want you, I guess, to insert it. Per their schema recommendation. So I would go with the video inside of the recipe card for the schema output. But it doesn't matter if you run the video in both or if you output the schema twice. It's not going to hurt you.
Fantastic. We're going to share that blog post. You have been committed, and not only are your employees now saying they want the wrap, publishers are saying it. So you're committed is basically where we are now.
We did get me to do karaoke in front of publishers. So
you did. It was amazing. It was wasn't it Backstreet Boys? Anyway, okay.
It was.
Melissa Greeley Olivieri says, I was one of the one to hit 6K with y'all. We're so excited about that. All right. So let's go back to the ads for just a second until we get another question. Talk about the main things that are happening with our script wrapper in 2020, the best optimizations we have coming forward.
Yeah, so what's really crazy about our ads is every year I feel like we have to be getting somewhere towards the peak of where we can optimize ads. Right. And I know a lot of people feel that, but the crazy part is we haven't. For an industry where CPMs kind of went down in 2019 compared to 2018, most Mediavine publishers actually saw an increase in RPM, which is crazy if you talk to publishers outside of Mediavine. And a lot of that comes to what are the optimizations we were able to do behind the scenes in that script wrapper. It's super geeky stuff, but like we used to go for 10 to 20% gains if we could. Those days, with each change you'd make, those days are kind of gone. If they weren't, we'd be all making infinity dollars. Most of the changes now we make are like 1%, 0.5%. And a lot of the stuff we couldn't even share with you because it's not that exciting, or it wouldn't mean that much if you weren't like elbow deep in kind of the header bidding world. But basically you can just think of it as we're making individual tweaks to do what we can to the auction dynamics. Things like changing the floors, changing which partners are able to bid on your inventory. We're not trying to add any more ads to your site. That's never our goal. We didn't add a single new ad in 2019. And yet we made people more money, higher RPMs. The way we're able to do that is just by squeezing what we can out of the advertisers in each of your existing ad spots. And just know that that's what we're doing behind the scenes. We are doing what we can to improve viewability, yield for advertisers, and of course for publishers, because that's the end result. If you do better for the advertisers, they come back, they buy more, and publishers make more money. So it's just lots of little nerdy stuff behind the scenes that we're trying to do to make people more money.
And we're squeezing the advertisers in a loving yet forceful way. We're not hurting them. It's not like a mafia squeeze. So don't be afraid. Oh, we've already, Eric, if we were taking shots, we would take one because we got our first Trellis question at 2 minutes.
We got the one Trellis. All
and
right.
11. We've been on for 11 minutes. Okay, we're going to talk about Trellis. Karen, here's the thing. Is Trellis going to be similar to Ezoic's newly released speed optimization? I'm really keen to use Trellis, but at the same time, if there is something I can speed my site up with now, I don't know. You're going to have to give me some background on this, boss. I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
So I think everyone's always looking for what we call a silver bullet, that kind of solution that you just press a button and it speeds up your site. There's another popular WordPress plugin that's doing similar to what the Ezoic thing is doing, where you just kind of install it, you press a magic button, it makes your site fast. Let me give you a little story. There used to be a service called page speed service by Google itself, which tried this exact thing where they basically would host the CDN in front of your site, and they would optimize with their black magic wizardry using the smartest engineers in the world to try to optimize your site for speed and then spit it out to the user. So you don't have to make a single change as a publisher. The user just gets served a super fast site. It turns out they shut down their silver bullet. So there's probably a good indication that it's not the right solution, because silver bullets don't really exist. Unfortunately, everyone has kind of a different website at the end of the day. And so trying to kind of do these broad stroke speed optimizations are very challenging. I could give you a lot of examples of why, but that would take a lot more than we have for this live. So I don't think that solution is necessarily going to be long lasting, either of those. And I mean, if they can pull it off and Google couldn't, kudos to them. But I think Trellis, the way that we're handling this is, let's go lightweight instead of trying to take big bloated stuff and squeeze it through tiny tubes. Let's just start tiny at the beginning. And that's kind of what Trellis is doing. It's not trying to optimize something that's not optimized. Instead, it's optimizing from the beginning. And that's what you're going to kind of see. It's a much different approach to speed.
Okay, so let's just do it. What is Trellis? Why is it taking so long? And because that is the question. And I was joking about that. We totally understand why you guys want Trellis, and everyone is saying the things about site speed because site speed is important. People listened. It is important. And we know Trellis. So what is Trellis? Why is it taking so long?
We'll come back to those boring ad things in a moment.
I will come back. I will let you talk about the boring stuff. Talk about Trellis first.
Yeah, so what Trellis is, it's going to be our WordPress theme framework. And again, a theme framework is something like Genesis. You build child themes or custom sites on top of it. You can almost think of Trellis as not just a Genesis, but also things like WP Rocket or Short Pixel, or all these various tools you currently use on your site to optimize things. It's all of that in one. So it's going to kind of make sure that you're not only going to have a theme framework that's fast, but you're going to have all the tools built into that theme framework to optimize everything about your site, from the images to the style sheets, to the JavaScript, to the HTML itself. We want to make sure all of that is being served to the user in the best possible way. In addition to that, one of the things we're doing with Trellis is we are going to be releasing our own child themes here at Mediavine. So those are the things that actually make your site look pretty, or what you think of with a theme. So those are the things that are built on top of things like Genesis. So I don't know, Foodie Pro, name some other ones that people who are more in tune with the WordPress theme community would know them all. But those are all built on top of Genesis, right? Same idea is going to start happening with Trellis. You're going to see all of these themes built on top of Trellis. We're going to be releasing our own, and then there's going to be third parties, and you're going to be able to build custom sites on this. And the idea being, if you follow this framework and you follow the rules set forth by Trellis, you will be able to get 95 plus page speed scores. That's what we're seeing on our publishers that are following these things on mobile, and of course 100 on desktop. We've seen people with higher, and that's with running ads, that's with running Create, with running Grow. So you're running social buttons, you're running a recipe card, and you're running ads, and you're still hitting 95 plus. You're not getting that by slapping a tool or a CDN in front of your site. Like, that is what Trellis is. Trellis is building you speed from the get-go.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions about Trellis. We have people talking about Trellis. We have an awesome person talking about my eye makeup. Thank you, Danielle. Carrie Bradley says, is Table Press or similar going to be added to Trellis? I remember we briefly chatted about it in Chicago, as it has lots of downloads.
So what we're going to be doing is working after, and this is why we're going to have kind of a slower beta period. Once Trellis is released to a smaller beta pool, we're going to be starting off initially with, let's make sure it works perfect with the Mediavine plugins and kind of a more limited scope of what we're trying to make it compatible with. And then we're going to be working with plugin developers. So Trellis itself is actually going to work with most plugins out the gate. Like, if you install the plugin, it will still work alongside Trellis. The problem is it's not going to be optimized for page speed. So Trellis kind of rethinks how you should be optimizing for page speed and has a lot higher expectations out of plugins. Heck, one of the reasons we bought Grow was because we knew how challenging it would be to get another plugin developer to get social sharing buttons right. And we were able to do it. We just don't know if a lot of the community is going to do it until everyone pushes on them to do it. We required them to do things like dropping jQuery, which is a large library that the rest of your plugin can't even run until that happens. It's an old way of development. You don't need it anymore, but a lot of developers still use it. We want people to stop using that. That's just one small example of the things that we're going to require. And the same thing happens with hosting companies. If you want to be Trellis optimized, you have to be doing things right as a hosting company. And so we're going to be working with various hosting companies and various plugin developers to try to get them to do things the right way, so we don't have to try to do the silver bullet approach. Let's solve this together.
So we're not saying that you necessarily going to have to get rid of all the plugins, and we don't know what the response is going to be once we get Trellis in the market and people are seeing what the results are. We might be able to say you could keep your favorite plugin if they're willing to make the changes for optimization.
Right, and you're just going to have to make the choice. When you install it, you're going to see these plugins are not compatible, which is going to be a large number, certainly at the beginning. They'll run, but again, once you start introducing jQuery and all of these things, you start to lose a lot of the advantages. So, maybe you don't want to run Create as your recipe card. So let's work with your current recipe card plugin to become Trellis optimized, or make the switch. Obviously, we would prefer if you made the switch to our plugins, but we're here to support the community. Like, that is our goal. We want to make sure your plugins work.
Okay, here's where we are. Is it going to be an easy switch to Trellis? Melissa wants to know. She's never switched themes. She's very nervous about it.
So I think, which is this is the weirdest thing, because your theme is the underlying framework of your entire site. But I'm going to make a weird claim. Switching recipe cards is often harder than switching themes. And I know people really are hesitant to move recipe cards. Themes are actually generally easier unless you've heavily customized your site. If you're running a lot of, let's say you're on Genesis right now and a theme built on top of Genesis, you're running a ton of plugins that are like Genesis extensions, then you're not going to be able to easily move over. If your child theme has a ton of custom stuff built, you're not going to be able to easily move over. But if you're someone who just installed the child theme, it's going to be easy, right? You're going to just simply switch themes and you're done. There's not a ton to do. Maybe you'll log into Trellis, you'll change the image you have for your logo, you'll change a couple colors, your fonts. You might be a 10-minute setup. If you have a lot of custom stuff, it's going to be more.
Fantastic. All right. How many sites have Trellis installed right now?
Still tiny. We still actually only have 10 because we kind of stopped doing it because we were in the heat of Q4. And I don't think even to our own internal team that are publishers themselves, we didn't want to do that to their sites. Not that we've seen anyone necessarily actually decrease in RPM as a result of Trellis, only the opposite. But still, like, there are bugs. It is beta software, and we didn't want to do that during Q4. So we're kind of ramping it back up now that we're in January. So you can start to expect by the end of this month that number to start increasing again.
Okay. The $1 million question. I'm going to ask you when. I want to know when for the expanded beta, and I want to know when for the not beta.
Yeah. So for the expanded beta, I think that's what we're talking about. It's probably going to be, honestly, closer to the beginning of February. January, unfortunately, always starts off a little bit slow with a little kind of post-New Year's, like everyone isn't really fully back in the swing of things until really almost this week, I would say. So I would say now February is probably more realistic for us to start onboarding people. One thing that I've had, one demand that I've made is I want to make sure the Mediavine marketplace is up and running so that if you're running the Trellis beta, you're going through the full experience. That's what we want this to be testing. Not just this child theme looks pretty and these plugins work with it, but this was a good seamless experience of how I went to installing and switching to Trellis. So once you see the marketplace up for Grow, that's actually part of Trellis. So be excited when you see that marketplace go up. I don't care if it means it's charging you money and you don't want to be excited by it. It is actually the pathway to Trellis. So the marketplace has to come, and then we can start onboarding publishers. I mean, we had the latest version of Trellis just went live on a bunch of our internal publishers today that fixes a bunch of stuff that we were kind of waiting on for that internal beta, for the expanded beta. So I'll say expanded beta next month for sure. And then out of beta, that is very tough to say. It's really going to come down to how this ends up being with the community, right? Like, we have to get hosting companies to put CDNs in front, change the way they do caching, make sure we have support for WebP and JPEG 2000 and all sorts of weird stuff that we're gonna have to work with hosting companies. And we know not every even Mediavine publisher uses the same hosting company. So certainly Trellis users are going to be the same way. Variety of hosting companies, an endless combination of plugins. So we have a lot of fun stuff to deal with.
We are getting blown up as we knew we would. So Betsy Eve says, so should I spend the money, time, effort, energy on having someone work on my site speed and optimizations with my current framework in 2020 or wait for Trellis? Will it come soon?
So I would say the best thing you can do if you're working on page speed is work on your plugins. Do the self audits on your plugins. That is something that is going to get you ready for Trellis and for a more successful 2020. Less is more when it comes to plugins, especially plugins that add a lot of weight to your page speed. And you can test that yourself. Go on Page Speed Insights, run your site with the plugin running on a page that's using that plugin, and then turn it off, run that same page. What did it do to your page speed? You would be surprised how many things can have a 10 or 20 point impact on your page speed. That's going to be the same thing whether it's on Trellis or not. We're going to do what we can to optimize those things on Trellis. There's only so much you can do. So start with that. That is work you can do yourself, or you can hire someone to help you with that will be valuable now and in the future, whether you switch or not.
We've got Sarah Auerswald who's saying, have we published a list of plugins that will be compatible with Trellis?
We have not, because that list would be Create, Grow, and Trellis today.
At this moment, yes.
At this moment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to basically be releasing a sheet, and it's kind of going to be something that we can first at least give to plugin developers, and they can kind of almost do their own self-audit. Is this thing Trellis optimized? Before we even start doing anything else, do like a self-Trellis certification, if you will. When we start having kind of the list of approved plugins, that's going to be kind of when we're more into that beta and have a larger sample size of what our Trellis developers, our Trellis publishers are using.
Excellent. So we've got some requests. If we can see some of the sites that are testing Trellis currently, are we okay with releasing a couple names and posting some of our links in there?
Sure. Let's post them in the comments. They're
Okay.
like Nicole's site. So yeah, I'm sure they would not mind having a few more visitors.
A little extra traffic. Caroline Iadrola just asked, is the platform like Genesis? I heard you say child theme. We talked about that earlier, so rewind on that. Michelle Brosius says, are you going to have preferred vendors for hosting?
So again, we don't try to play favorites when it comes to hosts. Obviously, I think you guys know the hosts that we work closely with. They show up to our conferences, and you can guarantee that those are going to be kind of Trellis certified, hopefully out the gate. But no, we're not going to say necessarily these are our preferred vendors. If you have someone you like working with, send them to us. It's not going to be that many tweaks they really need to make. It's really easy stuff. Are you running a CDN in front of the site? Is it caching the HTML at the CDN? Do you have the right caching header set? Any technical hosting company or managed hosting company should be able to make these changes. We want everyone to be Trellis optimized, because it's really not Trellis optimized. It's just page speed optimized. It's the same thing. It's just, these aren't necessarily our best practices. These are Google's. These are the web's best practices. They're just not followed by everyone right now. And we're going to make sure, if you're going to be endorsed by Mediavine and Trellis, that you are. And unfortunately, someone like Google doesn't do a certification process for this, but Mediavine will be.
Fantastic. Okay. We could talk about this. Can I ask those who are not preferred, but actually preferred hosts are, says Thea. We are not trying to throw car bombs today, Thea. Stop trying to get us in trouble. Okay. I want to actually shift gears for a second. I know we can talk about Trellis for 75 hours, and it's super exciting. We're excited too. But there's another thing that I'm really excited about, and I know that a lot of our team is the new dashboard. So could we have a little dashboard confessional for a moment and talk about all the exciting stuff that we're bringing with that?
The new dashboard definitely needs as much love as Trellis. I feel that, because that one is much easier to answer, I feel like. Right?
Don't tell them that. Shh. Just
sorry.
Own it.
Tell them about dashboard. Okay.
Yeah.
No, the new dashboard is honestly amazing. It is powered by the same UI that powers Create. So the same underlying framework that powers Create. So as a result, we have been able to make the dashboard a lot prettier and a lot more functional. It also allows us to kind of expand to more of the developers on our team that are able to help build it. So as the same team that's building cool new features for Create, those things are all coming now to the dashboard and vice versa. They're kind of able to share kind of the same UI framework. So it's actually making things better on both products and development a lot faster. Okay, onto some of the features that it's going to be offering as a result of all this awesome new development. I think the biggest one that people have been asking for, that is page level RPMs and page level revenue. What? So individual pages, knowing how much money you made off that page. So that is coming with the new dashboard. With a quick little caveat that we only unfortunately started collecting this data as of December 22nd. So that will only be available from that date on. And the other is, of course, it is an approximate because it is trying to tie all of this to your Google Analytics. Google Analytics will ultimately have a different view of what a page is than the ad server. So it is pretty darn close. Those are the only two caveats. Other than that, it is there and it is awesome. And we cannot wait to see how people use it to improve their RPMs overall, their marketing strategies, and everything else this is going to allow our publishers to do. So super excited about that one. Another big one coming is date comparisons that I know people have been asking for forever. You can now compare ranges. So compare how you're doing this December compared to last December. You can see how you're doing this month compared to last month, any range you want, and be able to see them kind of side by side on a graph and in the tables below. So awesome new feature without having to open up two tabs and kind of do it yourself. A lot of new features coming to the video side of things as well in the dashboard. It's going to be a lot easier to kind of optimize things for your up next. So we always tell people, put your shorter videos first. Right now, that's like impossible to do. Unless you know this video is this length, I'm going to go find it here. I'm going to go boost it. We're making that whole thing a lot easier for publishers to do. So they're optimized to make sure they're showing kind of their shortest videos first. Because again, you don't want to show a 3-minute long video at the beginning if your average site duration is only 2 minutes and nobody's completing that first video. So we're going to allow this to be a lot easier for publishers to optimize. And then playlist generation is actually being worked on, and that's going to be, again, a 2.0 exclusive. And that's the ability to make your own playlist separate from Up Next. So all these kind of features that we're going to be able to build that we couldn't even have dreamed of building before are now easily done. Well, not easily, but easier than before.
Doable. They're possible.
They're doable. Exactly. We have an amazing team now that can work on it, where we have people working on this is how I do the front end. This is how I do the back end. You have multiple engineers working on one project together. So it just moves a lot faster.
And it is, guys, I've seen, it is gorgeous. You're going to be blown away. Talk about a glow up in 2020. Our dashboard is stunning. Kat Donegan, our designer, is amazing. Okay, everybody is super excited about the dashboard, but we got the question again, the date question, because Michelle Price is always, she doesn't let us sneak by with anything. She wants to know, she wants the date. So when are we thinking for this new dashboard? Oh, he went away. Okay, so Eric will hopefully be back in a second. This is fun. But yes, as I was saying, the new dashboard, I've seen it. It's gorgeous, you guys. And I'm going to let him tell you because I don't want to. There he is. Hi.
We have to talk about how much we love Be Live every time that happens. Be Live is fantastic.
Every time. But you came back so fast, I didn't have time to bring up the Paris Hilton cooking video that I really wanted to. But we'll talk about that
for longer? Okay.
No, I want you to give them the date on the dashboard. Tell them they're dying.
Okay. Yeah, so the way we're actually hoping to debut this is to start having a beta alongside our current dashboard just to make sure, hey, everything's working. And that should actually be this month. We're going to start introducing the beta so you can start testing this out yourself. By the end of this month, you should be getting, hopefully everyone should have a link to this, if not early next month. Like it's ready. It's being tested internally by our own team. And so next is bringing it to you guys.
That is Really, really cool. And is it going to be, in terms of rollout, once the beta is over, is it just going to be one day we wake up and it's like Christmas and everything's there, or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate? Is it just going to be an amazing celebration? Like it's just there?
It's just there. Even during the beta, it can just be there. Update your bookmark and you can switch over to the new one, and you never have to think about that old hideous dashboard that some guy named Eric designed 4 years ago, and only focus on the new beautiful future that is the 2.0. Yeah, I mean, you'll be able to change that very, very soon and be able to use all the new features.
So exciting. Okay, I'm going to give a question from Karen Granrud, who asked this on one of the posts that we had. Eric, I see you're working on the dashboard. You alluded to this a little. I just want to make sure we address her specifically. I have over 90 videos in Mediavine, and it's a pain to go through to boost and exclude seasonal content. Video page will be easier to work. Yes, Karen. Will we have a list of videos instead of a grid? Maybe like a quick edit function in WordPress? Are any of those things possible? Do you have any specifics on our video?
So super cool for users of Create who probably know this already. There is both a grid and a list view in Create. And our UI team was able to easily bring that over the dashboard. See how this works, what I'm trying to say with sharing all that awesome code that nobody else would care about but engineers. But either way, we were able to, yes, bring in a list view into the videos very easily. You can toggle between the two of them. And there is kind of a mass update for you to be able to boost and exclude videos from your up next priority super easily from that same view. And you're able to sort within there. You're able to easily hop between pages. You'll be able to basically optimize your up next playlist, hopefully in minutes instead of what I'm sure took you way longer.
Yeah, we're really excited about that, and the synergy happening with all of our exciting products that are coming up. We kind of did a little crossway into this, a little bridge, a segue, if you will. Speaking of things that go on forever, we had the year of video, which was 3 years ago, and then we had the decade of video, and now we're in the new decade of video. So we're basically we've reached Lord of the Rings, Return to the King status with things that you think are going to end and never do. So why are we so into video? What's going on with video in 2020? And what would you say to Mediavine publishers who are not doing video yet?
All right, so we're going to call this Return of the King, the extended edition, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the singing, the hobbits are on the bed, then they like the elf ship. There's so much.
Okay, so we're going with the extended edition of the video player. Redesign here. We have, I guess I've said this before, but we keep re-engineering the video player to be faster and faster. We already lazy load the video player. We've optimized the heck out of it. You think we're done? No. It's not just good to be the fastest player. We need to be faster because our goals are always, we're going to find a way to get people to a 100 page speed insights score before we are done. I don't know when that day will come, but we will get them there with running ads. Video is one of the slowest things on the internet. Bandwidth is extremely heavy for video compared to an image or even compared to an ad. Videos are large. And so we're doing everything we can to optimize our player and those videos. And that's going to be a big thing that we are doing in 2020. So you can expect the player to get a lot faster for everyone. And it's also going to have a heck of a lot more features. Again, some things like playlists that I know people have been asking for, the ability to create playlists, embed those playlists. Exciting stuff coming to the player are more partners bidding on the player itself on video ads. So you're going to see increases in fill rates, higher CPMs, and therefore higher RPMs. All of that is coming. So if you are not running video or you are using any other player right now, start using the Mediavine player because it will pay off very handsomely. If you are used to making whatever you've been making off of YouTube, try it out. Bring your top videos over. Use the featured video. Basically use all of our recommended video settings. We have a great guide on this, the ultimate kind of video guide that can kind of walk you through this. Even if you're not currently running any video on your site, you can easily switch over. We've seen publishers make up to 20 to 30% higher RPMs just by running video on their site. So if you're not doing it, get paid more. Start doing it. It's worth it. It's can be a great user experience and make you more money. That's the idea behind the Mediavine video player.
And double dip. Like if you're trying to build your YouTube following, it doesn't mean you don't have to build your YouTube following. We have a feature. Eric, tell them about the feature. They can do both.
So one cool thing that we built in is when a video stops playing before the next one starts, which is that up next, you can encourage them to subscribe to your YouTube channel. So you just put your YouTube channel into the dashboard under video player settings, put your channel in there, and we can start putting that button automatically for you. You can actually still grow your YouTube base on your own site and get paid for your videos. You can have both.
It is not an excuse. And for your really long videos, send them to YouTube. Like for your 16-minute Paris Hilton cooking videos, those belong on YouTube. Those do not belong on Mediavine.
Right. They don't really belong on your website either. They probably belong where people are watching them. People click over to YouTube when they're watching that stuff, or they're going to go full screen. They're not even on your site anymore if you're watching a 16-minute long video. So yeah, we are definitely here for more of your short form content. We should say that YouTube is still a great audience if you're trying to kind of run more of a cooking show like Paris Hilton is trying. So there are and succeeding. Yes. So there are definitely keep both. We would never encourage people to move off of YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's a great audience. Some people just go to YouTube as their search engine. They literally just search on YouTube. So they will never find your amazing Mediavine videos anyway. So put them in both.
Lynn DeAngelis April said, my video player broke the other day and my RPM fell 50%. That is 50. She said, thank goodness for the engineers who fixed it and all is well. And she said, get video peeps.
So I'm not going to say 20 to 30% anymore. I'm going to say a 50% improvement in RPM.
We have scientific proof right now. Right. It exists.
So yeah, no, I'm going off averages, but yeah, I mean, obviously video can be, depending on the videos you have, they can be even more. So try it if you're not doing it. That is an insane amount of money to be leaving on the table.
And if you are one of those people who doesn't have video, we still have I believe the code is still live with the thing we do with Animoto. So we can share that post and go make a video, make a cheap, easy video. It's easy, guys. Do it. Do the thing. So we've talked about our video. We've talked about Return of the King. We talked about Paris. With Create hitting the market in 2018 and our purchase of a plugin that was formerly known as Social Pug, now called Grow, Mediavine is fully on the WordPress plugin train. We are writing it. We're enjoying it. It's a party train. It's a wine train now, essentially. What awesomeness can we look forward to in 2020 with respect to our plugins? I want to hear what the plan is for Grow and what the new things are for Create.
Yeah, so we're going to start with Create just because it's our first child. Create is 2019 was incredible for Create. We added jump to card. I'm just going to say it because everyone wanted it, or jump to recipe. There is now a jump to recipe in Create, and it blows away any other jump to recipe button that has ever existed. If you click it, it will not destroy your RPM, which every other button does. By clicking that button, we know that user is not going to be viewing the ads and the content, so we just don't load them, and then we optimize the card when they get down there. That's something awesome we could do because we control both the ads and the recipe card, and you can start to see why we're doing this craziness that we are by kind of building these plugins. Hopefully that shares a little insight. The other thing is Create is optimized for ads throughout the whole card, even if they don't click that jump to recipe button. And again, other cards aren't going to do that. That's not where they make their money. So they don't have the incentive to help you optimize. We do. So if you're wondering ever why we're so crazy, that's part of the reason. The other is us trying to save the internet and people won't do it for us. So, two-handed approach. So Create actually saw an incredible year in terms of ad optimizations. So many fun features. I think Amber gave a great summary of these in kind of the 2019 post. I'm here to talk about 2020. So I'll talk about the exciting stuff coming to Create. So one of the big things coming to Create is indexes that I'm incredibly excited about. Indexes are basically a way of helping you build a recipe index for food bloggers or a how-to index for kind of the people who use the how-to card and so much more. They are insane. They basically give you new Gutenberg blocks. So you will be using Gutenberg for this, hopefully. And basically you can almost generate, it's almost like a page builder, but a page builder that won't destroy your site. So really exciting. You can think of them as an ability to build your recipe index, or you can use them as so much more. And that's kind of where we see indexes going. They are almost like a page builder. Super exciting. We've been working on those for months, and they're finally going into beta soon. Just saw a demo of them. They are looking even more beautiful than I could imagine. Again, Kat is so incredibly talented. I just can't wait for people to see them. Let's just put it that way. I think what people got excited about with lists, they're going to get just as excited about with indexes. And people, I think, are using Create, a lot of people, just for lists and aren't even using it still for the recipe card. You might even see that with indexes. You can do some really creative stuff with this and make your site look beautiful. And hopefully at some point, these will be the gateway drug to show you Create should also be your recipe card. Because it is also not just optimized for ads. Of course, it is optimized for page speed because it is built by us. It is Trellis certified for sure. It is optimized for page speed even before Trellis existed. So it is crazy, really, how much better it's going to be for your site. So give it a try. Indexes are, another good way of kind of getting an intro to Create. We're excited for them. We have a really cool secret feature coming out in the next couple of weeks. I don't even think we've announced anywhere. And that's kind of, we'll announce it now, but basically it is I think we're calling it a social call to action, but basically a way to encourage people to follow your Instagram or your Pinterest, and soon other features coming to it right at the bottom of your card. So right when they finish reading your recipe, get them to subscribe to more. Similar to what we were talking about with YouTube and your videos, same thing. Let's get them to sign up for more. If people know kind of those per cards, a lot of them have that, and Per built that on top of Create, and now we're kind of going to bring that to everyone. Let's bring these awesome call to actions that so many people have been able to build. And so I think, again, another exciting, like, quick little feature that should be released soon. And then finally, the last thing that we kind of announced is going to be what we're kind of internally calling the Parity Pack, which we probably shouldn't use that name because people hear Party Pack, I guess, but we'll call it the Party Pack. And that is basically bringing kind of features that people have said, I can't move over to your recipe card until you support imperial metric conversions, especially for kind of more our rest of the world bloggers. Everyone but the US kind of want that whole better system, more sane system. So let's let their readers use a more sane system than, I know, America. We got it right. They got it wrong. Agreed.
Factors of 10, whatever. Needs, I don't.
Easy math. It's stupid. So yeah, we're going to be bringing that feature as long as the ability to, or as well as the ability to kind of multiply out the number of servings for your readers. And then finally, improve nutrition calculation. So when the results come back, being able to see why some of the results are sometimes insane, and being able to kind of make recommendations and tweaks as a result. So they're kind of the three of those should also be coming out early this year. We're hoping that, again, we don't want you to have an excuse of why you can't run Create. It's doesn't help either of us.
Yes. Okay. So we have a lot of things happening, and I didn't want to interrupt you because you're vibing clearly and having a great time talking about Create and saying all the good things. No. I loved all the things that were being said.
Your Create shirt is inspiring me.
I'm repping today. Okay. So first, let's jump back to our video conversation for just a brief moment to talk about the ideal video link for Mediavine videos for monetization. What is that, please?
So your video content has to be longer than the ad. That's policy and just good for user experience. So at a minimum, it has to be 30 seconds. We generally encourage somewhere closer around the 45-second mark. So somewhere between 30 to 60 seconds is where you want to keep your video length. Shorter is better because, again, it means once they finish that video, they get a chance for another ad and another video.
Yes. Okay. Now back to Create. People are flipping their lids about indexes.
They should.
They should. I'm excited about it. Lynn said, will we be able to use those if we don't use Create?
Not the full capacity. So if you don't use Create for your recipe cards, you're going to basically be linking to posts instead of to cards. We will support post indexes and not just card indexes. So card is if you're using Create cards. Post is if you're using something else. They're just not going to be as fully featured because we don't have access to all the data about those cards. So you can't build a super awesome index of your 10 to 15 minute recipes and click one button and it automatically updates and you can include it in posts. And I really cannot wait for people to see this thing and all the stuff they're going to be able to do. You're not going to get the full features because you're not putting the data into our system. So ultimately, you're having to rely on the posts. You'll still be able to do some cool stuff with them, but the full features are going to be for Create users.
And she's specifically saying the call to action social buttons. And we had another question about the CTA social button, which was, will that include a newsletter sign up? Which I don't believe it does. Create, right?
Not out the gate, but we did also happen to acquire something called Opt-in Hound. So you can better believe there will be a lot of optimizations to where people can sign up for newsletters in the future through what's going to be called Grow Newsletters.
Grow Newsletter. So that's coming. Wait, but I have a question for you that I've been saving. Kevin Pandori Mercer says, how can I use Create on a travel blog?
Great question.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one.
So we've seen a lot of people do creative stuff with lists. They're going to be able to do the same thing with indexes. As far as an official schema type for travel bloggers, there is only one. It is called Top Places. It is still in beta, and Google will not give out any information to people not in the beta. As soon as Top Places has any information, you better believe the next day we will be building out our Top Places card because we have promised travel bloggers it will be here. And I think we made the assumption that 2 years ago, that beta would probably be opening up. But as Gmail proved to us, Google can sometimes have betas that last an eternity. So unfortunately, Top Places is still kind of waiting on Google. We don't want to build something that's kind of not to their specs and then have to make everyone change everything. Kind of like what we did with How To. We kind of helped build the original How To spec because Google didn't have support. And then they kind of changed a lot of the rules. We're trying to avoid that if we can. We're hoping by the end of this year to have kind of an officially recognized Google schema type. If not, lists and indexes, we've seen some really creative stuff that people are using as travel bloggers. So encourage you to use those two and know that more are coming.
We're working on it. We want it to happen. We've been promising it for years and we want that. So that's not something that we're holding up on. Okay. Jordan is lurking, by the way, and he said social calls to action and Create are tied to the Create cards. He just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, sorry. I guess I thought you asked about indexes. Yes,
I did. It was my bad. It was Jordan. Okay. It was my fault. Don't blame Eric. Okay. No. All right. Let's talk about Grow, which you kind of alluded to something happening. You said something about Opt-in Monster and people are Opt-in Hound, and someone is asking about newsletter signups. She'd love to be able to replace Opt-in Monster. How far off? What's happening with Grow, and what is it eventually going to become?
So our vision for Grow right now, it is Social Pug kind of rebranded, right? It's going to be your social buttons. It's click to retweet, all those kind of awesome features that Social Pug has. First step is obviously the rebranding, but also optimizing it for page speed. That's kind of the first step. After that, we want to begin to add a few new features for you guys because, well, I know there's been a lot of feature requests as well for Social Pug. We want to get all those kind of out the gate. And then we're going to be working on bringing in some of the features of Opt-in Hound. So Opt-in Hound is newsletter signups or a competitor to something like Opt-in Monster, but built for page speed, of which Opt-in Monster is certainly not. And basically, it's going to be built into Grow because the way we look at Grow is it's going to be what Create is for creating content, Grow is for marketing or for growing your traffic. So you can kind of see that plugin will develop into a lot more than just social buttons, which it is today, or social sharing.
Can I go off script and ask you a question about something? I know I didn't put it in the prep doc. We collaborate on the prep doc.
There's a script? Oh my God.
He doesn't read the script. It's my script. I put it together. He loosely peeks at it and then tells me not to tell him what I'm going to say because he likes spontaneity. That's just the way he rolls, people. But this is very off script. So with all the plugins that we have and all the things we're creating, including a framework and our ad technology, someone could theoretically, a content creator could theoretically be with us for massive amounts, relying on Mediavine for the vast majority of all of their monetization and all of their content creation. There are a lot of people that are saying, I mean, I'm not going to say a lot, but there are people that say, stay in your lane. Why are you doing this? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. and we've been kind of talking about it some, but I want to hear from the CEO and the person who is helping to come up with the roadmap. Why do we do that? And why is it not something scary?
It's funny that
No, your earbuds again, Eric. Ruin the moment. We were trying to have a moment, and I think it's because I asked something somewhat related to feelings, and he doesn't like those things. Guys, I'm still here, so he'll be back. I want to hear from him because I know that that's a legitimate concern. I would have that thought. I would wonder why we were doing so many things and not staying with just ads. So let's see what he has to say. He dropped out again. Okay, friends. Hopefully he'll come back. He's back again. This is so fun, guys. I'm having fun with this. Hi.
Now, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and everyone else can too. So to just reiterate the question that I asked, what about people that are having concerns that they're relying way too much on one company for too many things? And what about the people who say stay in your lane, Mediavine?
Yeah. So what I was saying before is I think it's funny that our lane has become ads, and that's only been the last maybe 4 years of this company. We have been around, I don't know if people know this, since 2004. Our lane wasn't ads. If we stayed in our lane, you guys wouldn't have Mediavine ad management, and we wouldn't have completely changed the way ads are done, like period. Be happy we're getting out of just the ads lane, or getting back into our other lanes, or have never left our lane, so however you want to phrase it, because we plan on doing the same thing in every lane that we're in, because that's the way that we look at things.
Our lane is the fast lane. Yeah. So I'll say this. He doesn't have to say this. I know this history. We did not start out as Mediavine as full service ad management. We start out as Mediavine as content creators ourselves. We were owners and operators of our own websites, including the Hollywood Gossip and TV Fanatic and Food Fanatic are our sites now, but we also have sites like Grey's Anatomy fan sites and other things like that. So they started out as content creators. So the reason why they got into ads was because they were content creators and their ad money sucked with what was existing. So they decided to create this ad technology so that they could make money themselves. And then with the Food Fanatic contributors, they wanted the same ad technology that was working for our own operated sites. So that's how that all started. Yes, Mediavine does need to buy him some new equipment.
I lost my new equipment. Those new AirPods were fantastic wherever they are. They were great. These old first generation are not. I will buy a headset I plug in. I need to learn from you, Jenny. You can't hear me, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Right.
We can all hear you. Okay, Eric, I was explaining an AirPod. Jordan said an AirPods ad. This is not. Okay, so let's go back to what we were saying. I was telling them while you were gone and causing me to sweat on my upper lip that we did not start out as full, as you were saying. We started out as content creators, and the reason why we have Mediavine for ads is because our ad revenue sucked and halved overnight, and that's why we have it. So then you continue explaining, please.
Right. So what I was trying to say is, I think, again, it's a good thing that we got out of that lane, which was just content creation. And something people don't know is that we actually built our own CMS. So the Hollywood Gossip, TV Fanatic, Food Fanatic, and previously Movie Fanatic all run on what we called Fanatic, or ePress as it's nicknamed. And those features are kind of what originally inspired Create, and are what are kind of inspiring Trellis and Grow even. So it's really coming full circle. That's kind of where we wanted things to be, that we needed to match the features of what the Hollywood Gossip had to bring it over to WordPress. That has been our goal. In the computer programming world, we use a gross term called eat your own dog food. It's what we want to do with our own plugins. We want the Hollywood Gossip to be running on Trellis, Create, and Grow. And that's going to be happening this year because we finally have been getting these plugins to where we need them to be. So I understand that people may see this as us not staying in our lane, but this was our original lane. It's almost merging the lanes back to where they were. And if people don't want to run all three of our plugins plus our ads, they don't have to. We're never going to obviously force people. Our ads still run on non-WordPress sites. So clearly you don't even have to be running WordPress, let alone our theme framework. These are for people that want more. Eggs all in our basket. I'm sorry, your eggs are all in Google's basket, Amazon's basket, Facebook's basket. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I hope that you can trust us more than a lot of those companies. We don't plan on hopefully ever betraying your trust. And I don't know, there's nothing I can tell you as the CEO of this company that would make you trust putting your eggs in our basket other than our track record. We hope that speaks for itself. And we plan on we want to build cool things. If you want to use our cool things, use our cool things. If you don't worry about it.
Also, our basket is teal. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to, we go all in. I mean, I'll say this, we keep building a team that is growing and growing to support the things that we're building. We're growing every day, and we're doing it with people who are content creators themselves. So they know what's up. Also, we're not really asking you to pay a whole lot of money. So what's the harm in trying them? Try. If it doesn't work, tell everyone that it didn't work and get off of it. All right. Well, we're out of time because we just had to spend several minutes with you Star Wars thing in and out of the, it was really awesome. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle says, the trust I have is huge. Appreciate Mediavine so much. Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate you too. Is there anything else we need to talk about before I tease something that I didn't tell you I was going to tease, but I'm going to do it anyway?
Sure. I was going to give some love to Amber, who decided to ask me when I'm getting my haircut in 2020.
Are you getting your haircut in 2020?
Yes, I always promise her before our conference, there will be at least a haircut before our conference. So by June.
Speaking of our conference, what's happening with that in 2020, Eric?
That is a great thing that I almost forgot to talk about other than in my haircut talk. So yes.
Got to focus on what's essential here.
Exactly. Telling Amber that I'm getting a haircut. We can hang up now. So the Mediavine conference in Baltimore is going to be amazing. I don't know if personally, I am so excited because I don't know if you guys have heard, Austin was unbelievable. And I think Baltimore is only going to be growing upon that. So if you have never been to a Mediavine conference before, come. They just keep getting better and better. And if you've been to a previous one, they've actually only gotten better. So come. We can't wait to see you. I think there's still tickets left for the 3-day tickets. Oh, no, 2-day tickets. Only 2-day tickets left. So show up for 2 of those days. They're still going to be awesome. And next year, maybe we'll have more 3-day tickets or something. We'll figure out how to get more people in. Come. It's going to be amazing. And one thing that I'm really excited about is I kind of use it as a chance to launch some fun stuff in my talk. I don't know if you guys heard the Austin talk was kind of where we debuted a lot of fun stuff. Let's just say June is going to have a very fun announcement. So I think you should come.
Who makes the conferences so awesome, Eric?
Oh, well, that would be our entire brand team, but primarily Megan. Megan, our event planner, kind of runs these things. And she did an unbelievable job again in Austin. I cannot stress this enough. The number of people that came up to me, and I have nothing to do with the planning of our conferences, and said it was the best conference they've ever been to, was unbelievable. So I can't sell that enough. I mean, obviously Trellis gets all the love, but let's not forget about that conference.
We're very excited about it. We'd love to have you join us. We are deciding on the agenda as we speak. We can't say enough about our event coordinator, Megan Myers. She's amazing. Okay, Ethan Butler, just quickly giving some love before we go and teasing what we've got coming up left. Ethan Butler is one of our developers. He said, frantically scratches, betray everyone's trust off of next week's calendar. Good. We're glad that's gone. Susan Fleming says, applying for Mediavine was the best decision I've made. Love you guys. Elizabeth Barbone says, again, I really appreciate you talking about this. And I believe this is talking about the elephant in the room, the teal one, about putting all your eggs in our basket. I know I speak for Eric and everyone else on staff. If you have questions about something or someone's talking trash, come talk to us about it. We're here to address the things head on, right?
Yeah, always.
Unless your ear pods don't work, Eric.
Again? Not again.
No, they're fine. They're good. Okay. Elizabeth also might miss her anniversary for our conference. Okay. you do you, Elizabeth. We want you to be happy. Happy 2020. Come celebrate it. And then here's what I'm going to say about what's coming up. Eric has, I don't know if anyone's heard of his Go for Teal series, has been watching it. About revving RPM. He has a new series that we're debuting on Monday, which is called SEO Like a CEO. And he is going to be sharing all of the latest tips and tricks on how we built the biggest Hollywood gossip site on the internet, plus help all of our Mediavine publishers. So we're super excited. Eric, are you excited about that?
I am excited. As much as I love talking about ads, it's going to be fun to talk about something new. I know, again, back to the whole stay in your lane thing. Again, yeah, stay in your lane, Mediavine. Mediavine was literally started as an SEO company. That is the original lane. That is actually my background. That is what I did even prior to Mediavine. So we're going to be talking about SEO for the next, I don't know, probably year. There are so many topics to talk about on SEO. It's going to be fun and it's going to be free, just like the RPM series, and it is available to everyone, not just Mediavine publishers. Yeah, we'll be covering all kinds of topics, from keyword research to kind of the more on-page technical stuff. Everything you ever want to know about SEO, there will be a video and a blog post written by my 1,000 wordy self. So you can imagine it will be thorough. If you thought the Bible of RPMs was intense, wait till you get to SEO, which is maybe even a bigger topic.
We're pretty excited about it. Eric, it has been a pleasure to have you today.
And I am sorry for the technical difficulties. I will run to an Apple store and get new ones, or no, I will buy something I plug in to my computer that does not die on batteries. I know.
That's a bold move. Guys, if nothing else came from this live, look at what we've made happen. Thank you. Thank you for that. Eric, thank you for joining us. Everybody, we will see you in February with the next episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.